we were listening to it, and we just looked at each other going, wow, this is the Foo Fighters. This is something different. They've never done this before.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Foos Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. It's Dan here, hope you're all having a great week. The bad news, I guess, is that the European leg of the Take Cover tour is winding down, so the boys are going to have a couple of weeks off before they head back to North America to pick things up there. More on that later. The good news, though, is that we've got a new feature on the podcast this week. So you may have heard a few episodes ago, I teased the Foo Fighters A-Z that we're going to be doing over the course of time, which is going to give us plenty of content because basically going to go through every released track in the Foo Fighters catalogue one by one, excuse the pun, and dissect them musically, lyrically, anecdotally, any fun stories relating to the track. And so we're kicking things off this week with a deep cut, but a much talked about and quite topical one because it's A320, a song that kind of came back into prominence really this year when the band started playing it again, starting at that church show for the Other Voices TV performance in Dingle, Ireland. And it's a really intriguing one because, as a lot of you will know who have heard this track, the only way you can physically get your hands on it is by owning the Godzilla soundtrack, for which it was recorded back in 1998. It's not on Spotify or any other streaming service. You can get a YouTube version, but in terms of an official release, the Godzilla soundtrack is the only definitive version that is available. So to discuss this track and to kick us off on the A-Z, we've got a long-time Foo Fighters fan, Dan Keeble, who runs the X account Foo Fighters UK for anyone who's hanging out over there. It's been going for quite a while, as he's going to explain to us in a minute. So before we get into it, I don't want to repeat too much of the stuff that we cover off in our discussion, but just to go over A320, a quick synopsis. As I mentioned, recorded in 1998 specifically for the Godzilla soundtrack, and it was used in the credits on the film. It was recorded at Sound City Studios, the famous Sound City in Los Angeles, and obviously it sits in between The Colour and the Shape and There's Nothing Left to Lose. Band personnel at the time, we had Dave Grohl, Nate Mendel, Taylor Hawkins and Franz Stahl as the core members of the Foo Fighters. But there were two additional members on this track, Petra Haden on violin, who of course crops up quite a bit throughout the career of the Foo Fighters, particularly as they started to expand their instrumentation. And then you've got Benmont Tench on Hammond organ and keyboard, and he famously was a member of the great Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, who Dave of course famously had an offer to join in between that Nirvana and Foo Fighters period. And the other thing to note, which I don't think we covered off in my discussion with Dan, is it's the first time the band worked with the producer Nick Raskulinecz, who pretty much recorded or produced most of the Foo Fighters sessions between 2001 and 2005. And then just finally, I mentioned right at the start that it's kind of a topical deep cut because it came back to prominence this year. It's only been played 6 times between September 1999 and April this year. So it was given 2 live outings in 1999 in Providence, Rhode Island, and then Stockholm, Sweden. And then another 4 outings this year, starting with St James's Church, the Other Voices show, Dingle, Ireland in February, as I mentioned. A few nights later at Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, one of the pop-up shows. The Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut in April, which was the first official show of the Take Cover tour. And then the 2 pop-up shows in the New York, New Jersey area at Irving Plaza and the Starland Ballroom. So that's a little potted history of the track. Let's go over now to my discussion with Dan as we deep dive a little bit further into the first track on the Foo Fighters A to Z, A320.
This is a song we've only done a handful of times. It's called A320. It sounds like this.
Dan, how you doing? Great to talk to you.
Nice to meet you, Dan. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So at the time of recording, we're still both getting over Liverpool. I was there on the Saturday. You were there for night one on Thursday. Right. So how was it for you?
Fantastic, as always. Fantastic to see the band live again. Coming to Liverpool for the first time in a long, long time. And the only UK shows that they played this year. And Dave mentioned that briefly on the Thursday's show. So it was really good to kind of that they allowed the time during their European tour this year to kind of fit in a couple of dates here in this country, and Dave alluded to the fact that it's kind of like a teaser for hopefully things to come next year. Hopefully they do a lot more dates around the UK next year, 2027. That'd be really cool. But the show was, as always, incredible on Thursday. Awesome stadium rock list for the night. And I'm sure Saturday, which I think you went to, Dan, was awesome as well.
Yeah, it was. And you're right. I think he described it as the cocktail party before the main dinner, didn't he? Sort of hinting at that there's more to come next year. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've just done a full episode on night two. But, you try to think about where it ranks in your chronology when you've seen the band a few times, and your memory becomes hazy over time. Like my first Foos show was in 2003, and it was a festival show, and I can barely remember anything about it at all, to be honest with you. So it's difficult to. But I felt on the Saturday the atmosphere, considering what stadium gigs can be like, there can be peaks and troughs when you get people who are there for the hits, you get first timers, etc. But it was as loud in there as I've heard for at any stadium gig in a long time. I don't know what Thursday was like.
The same, and because it was in Liverpool and they don't often get the Foo Fighters, it was extra special for the people who live in that area. Because, like you say, if they're always playing in London, they're always playing the Readings and the same sort of places, which is fine. But for Liverpool, then it meant extra special because it was a one-off, if anything, for them. So you really felt it in the crowd, the audience, the atmosphere was so electric. And I'm just glad I made the journey up there. I was able to make the first night. And they put on an amazing show, as always. The energy, as we all know, for any Foo Fighters show is incredible. So, yeah, it was really, really cool.
Great stuff. And before we get on to our discussion today, which is about A320 for the Foo Fighters A to Z, you've been running a Twitter account, Foo Fighters UK, for quite some time now, 15 years, I think you were telling me. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So on X or Twitter is Foo Fighters UK, which I initially started on Facebook briefly and then carried it on Twitter around 2011 as a way for, I don't know, I started it in a way to sort of help and give advice for people wanting to go to Foo Fighters shows, because at that point I'd seen loads of Foo shows and I knew how to the best way to get tickets for the smaller surprise shows, for example, or the best way to kind of navigate going to the stadium shows, or how to get tickets and when they're released and what the times are, etc. So I started this UK Foo Fighters UK Twitter account to kind of share information on shows and help and advise people on what to do to get into these shows, because sometimes people are unclear how long they should queue up, where they get tickets. So that was it really, and it's kind of grown over the years, obviously. And I only focus on UK shows, and luckily for us, the Foo Fighters love the UK and they're always coming over here. So it's great for us to kind of for the Twitter feed to always have content to share with the band around the country. So yeah, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to next year, 2027. I'm hoping for a big tour, UK tour, and there'll be plenty to discuss then, hopefully.
Yeah, same here. I think we're all hoping for that, especially doing this podcast over the sort of past 18 months or so, and was finally able to get out on location and do something. Liverpool's hoping for a bit more of that next year,
Absolutely.
2027, big year. Great stuff. So we're launching the Foo Fighters A to Z on the podcast, and first up is A320, which is in the kind of mythology, really, of the Foo Fighters discography. It's one that fans have like long talked about, and it disappeared into the ether really until this year, when they've only ever played it live 6 times, I think, and 4 of those were this year. You were actually at one of the shows, Shepherd's Bush Empire, where they did it. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And obviously, background to it, the Godzilla soundtrack, 1998, much maligned film, but with a very heavyweight soundtrack with big artists such as like Green Day and Jimmy Page and Puff Daddy and Jamiroquai and people like that. I know it's a favourite of yours. So, do you want to tell us your potted history of when you first discovered the song and all that kind of stuff?
Yep. So 1998. By that point, we'd had the first Foo Fighters album. We had The Colour and the Shape. So this was like the first piece of new music that, as fans, we got to hear. And I remember when it came out. I remember I was at school and me and my friend went to HMV, and in those days they used to play CD albums before they were released, or on the day they were released, on headphones scattered around the shop, so you can have a teaser before you committed to buying anything. You can listen to the music. So we ran to the shop and we put on the headphones and we skipped down to the new Foo Fighters song. And I still remember that moment. We were listening to it and we just looked at each other going, wow, this is the Foo Fighters. This is something different. They've never done this before. This sort of style, the vibes what we were getting. And then when the guitars, the meaty, crunchy, distorted guitars kick in, so wow, that sounds awesome. That's different. So I vividly remember the album coming out. I bought it, and that summer, that was my soundtrack for the summer. So the whole album, the Godzilla soundtrack, as we know, is incredible. It's got Silverchair. I was a fan of all these bands: Rage Against the Machine, Fuel, Green Day, Jamiroquai. The whole album is amazing. So having that Foo Fighters song in there as well was fantastic. So A320, as we know, is a unique song in the Foo Fighters catalogue, and it's really special. And it's a shame. It's not a shame. Well, more people need to know about it because of how wonderful the song is. It's so beautiful. And it's a song that was the first time, I think, that Taylor Hawkins would have recorded, or at least new music with the band, back in 1998. It's the only one of 2 recordings with Franz Stahl on guitar. So it makes it really unique, which is really nice. And they recorded it in 98. It was released for the album, and it's the only song really that hasn't been released anywhere else in the Foo Fighters catalogue. It's not available to listen to on any of their albums, on singles or EPs. You can't stream it officially on Spotify. The only way to sort of listen to it officially is buying the CD, which I think you still can get maybe on eBay or Amazon. The Godzilla soundtrack, that's the only release. Obviously, you can hear it on YouTube, so it's worth checking it out. If you haven't heard the song A320, do check it out on YouTube, because it's a beautifully written song. The first half is very melodic and gentle, and then it kicks in to like a really meaty instrumental rock, and it's awesome. I love it. It's my second favorite Foo Fighters song, and it always has been since it came out.
What's your first?
Oh man, when people ask me that question, I just get a weird look from them, because it's a song called "I'm Alone Again," and everyone's like, "What the fuck is that?" So that's my favorite That's my favorite song. That was an old song that has never been released either. I think it was a demo or what have you, but.
There you go. That's one for you to listeners to go and dig out on from the archives anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a very deep hit. So yeah.
Yeah, this is why we were talking before we pressed record. I said about this A to Z that I'm going to stick to officially released Foo Fighters songs because there's going to be all sorts of stuff that's on people's minds. And you said I'll probably be that smart ass that goes, "Oh, you forgot to do this one." Yeah. It was interesting you said about the surprise reaction that you had when you were on that sort of listening booth in HMV, because I think if they brought something out, if you look at the way they've expanded their instrumentation and stuff now with the In Your Honor second disc, and then Echoes when they were bringing strings and stuff into it. I think if they made something like that now, it wouldn't be a huge shock necessarily, but at the time it's kind of sitting between Colour and the Shape, and there's nothing left to lose. As you said, going, oh wow, Foo Fighters are making music like this.
Indeed, and they wrote it with the soundtrack in mind. So it feels very cinematic to begin with, and they wanted to do something different, and the way it ends, the crescendo of it all suits the I think it's not in the film itself, it's during the credits of the Godzilla film of the movie. So yeah, very for the time, for the band, new, fresh, different. And before I forget, sorry, the Godzilla soundtrack, and I just realized this the other day. I think this is the first time you see on an album Foo Fighters with Rami, because he was in the Wolf Hours at the time.
Yes, it's a David Bowie cover, isn't it? Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. They're like, wow, they've kind of been on an album together, because that's the on the Godzilla soundtrack as well. So that's quite an interesting thing to realize. So
yeah, it's a good shout. Good shout. Yeah, and they've used extra musicians probably would it have been the first time they used extra musicians on one of their tracks, because you've got Petra's violin on there, Petra Hayden. That's and right. Then Benmont Tench from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers plays the Hammond organ. So it's the first signs really of very early on of them kind of expanding their instrumentation.
Yeah, well, they're the guy, I can't remember his name now, who played a bit of guitar on the first album, but did a solo on one of the songs. But yeah, it's the first time they kind of brought in extra musicians to kind of bring a song to life, which I think it makes it special. It was really special at the time. To hear it, the lyrics to the song and the whole vibe of it suits the extra instruments we're hearing perfectly. So you've got that orchestral feel throughout the film, the song, the violins. It suits the song perfectly. It's a beautiful song, and I listen to it all the time. And I listen to it when I'm flying, because I fly a lot for work, and the song is about flying and the fear of flying. So for me, when I'm traveling around the world, whether it is on holiday or for work, that is my taking off song, and it has been for years. I always play. I have to. It's like I have to put my headphones on, line up the track, and hit record as the plane is taking off on the runway. And this is weird, if you time it right for A320, if you press play when the song starts as the plane is on the runway taking off, by the time the wheels lift off, the drums kick in the song, and it's like, awesome, here we are. And your plane's going up, and you're looking out the window, and this A320 is playing in your head. It's a magical moment. And I often happen to fly on A320 planes as well. And so I was like, well, this is made to be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try that. You've got to get the timing.
You have to, yeah. It's magical. It's a magical thing.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically, you've kind of got it spot on. There's not a lot to it lyrically, because obviously the second, from sort of 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes onwards, it's all instrumental. But yeah, there's not a lot to it, but quite vividly about, fear of flying, one day will come crashing down, etc. So
yeah, I feel like the song takes you on a journey, on a flight, when you're in the air floating over the clouds. So the music is very gentle, and then I feel like the story within the song then something happens like turbulence, and there's something rocky, and then you start to go down as the song like crescendos and starts to rock out. So it sounds morbid, but that sounds like the up and down of a disaster flight.
Yeah.
So maybe it shouldn't be the song that I listen to when I fly, because it has its moments.
I don't know. I mean, close my eyes and hope it's a real smooth flight. That's if you have got a fear of flying, I suppose that's what you're going to do for the next however long you're in the air.
Yeah, and then there's a nod to Learn to Fly, which it came out before There Is Nothing Left to Lose. So I think the line is, I dream about the day I learn to fly. So maybe like a set up, a connection to that kind of that song as well. So there's a lot going in there I think in the lyrics. It's interesting, and the lyrics and the vibe from it and the music, the instruments, it all comes together beautifully. So it's an underrated song until you know the song. That's when people realize, wow, this is really special. This is really cool. This is really, really unique within the Foo catalogue. And I'm so glad that they made it for the soundtrack, because obviously the production company would have approached them to write the song, and then he had some sort of cinematic way of writing to make that what it is. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it seems like Dave's got a weird relationship, not with the song but the film itself, because he waxes lyrical about the song, saying it's one of the best things. He's quoted as saying somewhere it's one of the best things he's ever written, and I think he says it's like the first prog Foo Fighters song. He said, but then he's also quoted as being quite critical of the movie, but he also says he likes the way it was used in them. And Foo Fighters songs have been used in films before, not necessarily written specifically for them, but he did say it was his favourite. I think it was his favourite use of a song in a movie. But then he was also quite critical of the movie itself. So I don't know, maybe that's part of the reason why the song was kind of, I don't know, put on the subs bench for so many years and almost discarded.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. They played it twice, I think, when it came out, or a year later, or a couple of years after the album came out. They didn't play it at all, really, for some reason.
Yeah, twice in 1999, and then that was it until the Dingle show in the church in Ireland earlier this year. So, yeah, other bits. Sorry, I'm just trying to. I had loads of notes on this. I'm just trying to find the. I've got a complete. Yeah, it's right. My MacBook's just decided to go. So on the live performances bit, then, I mean, it's a bit of a head scratcher why this year they decided to bring it back. I mean, the Dingle show, the church setting, obviously, I guess quite appropriate in some ways. It felt quite appropriate to play it there, but then you got to hear it at Shepherd's Bush Empire earlier this year. So. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was really special. I'm really honoured that I was there to watch it, to hear it, to see it. The fact that they brought it back after all those years was incredible. And I don't know, them playing at a Dingle at that private small event in the church was really special, and it made sense, perhaps because it was the first time Dave Grohl was back in that kind of area and playing a song that maybe means a lot to him, so much that they needed to play it there for the first time in over 20 odd years. It's really, really amazing. And they announced in August that they're playing at the Hollywood Bowl in Hollywood, obviously. And on my Twitter feed, I just randomly said, please play A320. As a joke, because that they never play A320, so why would they do that? Because it's they're playing with an orchestra. Maybe that they could, because it's a song that requires it. 4 days later, they play A320. So I'm not saying it was me by any means, but what a coincidence that 4 days later they then play A320 in Ireland, and it's it's just mind blowing. I remember, and this is when they played it. I remember checking my phone in the middle of the night to see that someone shared the set list, and I woke up my girlfriend who was asleep. Like, oh, I was like, you won't care about this, but Foo Fighters just played this song. And she was like, what are you talking about? They just played A320. I was that excited that I had to wake up my girlfriend to tell her the news that they had played this song for the first time in 21, 25 years, whatever it is. So yeah, and then they played it again. Was it in London the next time? I was there for that Shepherd's Bush Empire. That was incredible. And when they started to play it, it reminded me of the first time I saw the Foo Fighters in '97. That the goosebumps, the excitement, and I was transfixed, and I was just absorbed into what they were doing. And it sounded amazing live. It sounded beautiful, and not everyone in the crowd knew the song, but they were vibing with it. They were loving it, and it was a magical moment because it's not a song that we would ever expect to hear. And there's so many of those Foo Fighters songs that they have in their catalogue that you kind of don't expect them to ever play. There's a lot of beautiful, amazing B-sides and bonus tracks and rarities, unreleased songs that we kind of just accept, oh, we'll never hear those songs because no one knows them apart from the weirdos, the Foo Fighters hardcore fans. And A320 was one of those songs. Like we it's a beautiful song, but it never gets played. No one really knows it. No one talks about it, which is a shame, but it is what it is. And then they put it out of the hat, and you go, wow, what? A320 live, amazing. And the fact that they played it 3 or 4 times over that mini tour back in February, was it?
Yeah.
This year. It was really special. And they played it at Shepherd's Bush in London, and it made my night for me. I was like, I could die right now. If I don't see any more Foo Fighters shows, I'm happy with that, because for me, that was the pinnacle moment for me as a Foo Fighters fan.
Yeah, because you get your songs that you'll go to a show, usually you'll win some and you lose some in terms of the songs that you want and the songs that you get. And then you get that's just a complete and utter.
That's on its own thing, yeah. Because you get the hits, and you'll get like Johnny Park or Run, which I love. They played it last night for the first time in a long time. I think I don't often play certain songs that people love, and they swap them around, and they'll play stuff off the first album. They'll play Winnebago here and there, and that's cool. And it's like wicked. We've got a special song, but when they play a song like A320 live, you just don't expect it. It's not something they would normally do. So, yes, so special.
Yeah. I think it's a good theory, actually, about, we were talking to somebody else about why they decided to bring it back, and maybe they did see your tweet, who knows, but I think that that LA Philharmonic show at the Hollywood Bowl, that would be a great shout. And if we could get an official live recording of that from that,
it'd be amazing to get a live recording of that. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, I'm not somebody who, I know we've got people we know who they'll go to multiple shows on a tour and stuff like that, and that's one I would absolutely love to see them performing with a full orchestra. That's going to be some show, that is.
Absolutely, like obviously Metallica did that a few times now, so it just takes the songs to another level, and to hear it and see it with a live orchestra would be really. I think Weezer did it a couple of years ago as well. They played one of their albums back to front, from start to finish, with an orchestra, and it's really special. So I'm trying to think of what other songs they could do with the orchestra, or arrangements within the songs, but A320 I think would work perfectly. So I'm hoping that's why they have brought it back, why they started to play it again, for the Hollywood Bowl show in August. But we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, any other sort of final thoughts on it really before we wrap this one up?
Just the fact that I think that it's a song that more people should kind of make the effort to listen to if they can, search for, because it's on YouTube and you can hear it. And if more people know about it, I think, I don't know, it deserves more attention, and then hopefully one day it could get an official release or just thrown onto Spotify at least, for people to hear, because it is pretty special. And it was, like I say, it's the first original music that Taylor Hawkins drummed on, and it's a unique song. It's special. It's very special to me. I love it. I'm always listening to it, and I'm always listening to it when I travel, when I'm flying. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't remember now when I would have first, because I remember seeing the film years ago, but I didn't discover the band really until like 99, 2000 ish. So I probably would have heard it on the credits, and it wouldn't have struck a chord with me necessarily. I was a very, very young man, young boy then. So, but yeah, I'd love to know more about Dave's relationship with the song and the film, to be honest with you, because of how the story is. They actually went to watch the film with Matthew Broderick when they were on tour, and Dave absolutely slated it apparently. So
yeah, I mean, the song isn't really part of the film per se, is it? It's not played within the song,
no.
Within the film. So, I mean, I don't really. It doesn't matter to me whether they like the film or not. I think it's irrelevant, because as a piece of music, it stands out on its own. The fact that it's part of the soundtrack, the fact that it's shown in the credits, awesome, cool, but it's more important than that. And I think it's a really important song in the Foo Fighters catalogue, and I'm just so glad that it has come back, and I look forward to hopefully hearing it played live at the Hollywood Bowl, because that would be really special.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is irrelevant that it's a soundtrack. It's a Foo Fighters song first and foremost, but I think it does show Dave's genius that he can just do that with the cinematic sort of vision. Because I think you hear about these things, usually artists get approached and they'll go, "Have you got anything we could use for this?" Whereas with Dave, he's got that mind where he can go, "I'm going to think cinematically about the way I write this song," and it has come out. It's come out absolutely perfect. And I think for me, it's when that sort of feedback kicks in on the sort of 3-minute mark, and it makes the hairs stand up on your neck, doesn't it?
Yeah, that the meaty guitars kicking in and the drums booming, it's just rocking, and then it just rocks out to the end, all instrumental. Such a huge contrast to the start. Again, it's not something that the Foos had done before at that point. So, yeah, and like you mentioned, is if they released it now, it's like cool. With, this is what the Foos do. But back then, that was just the Foos spreading their wings a bit. Just finding themselves and exploring different ways of writing music and playing music.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I'm very, very jealous that you got to hear it live. So maybe 2027, a few more of us will get that opportunity. You never know. Yeah,
it would be amazing if they kept it in the set list going forward. They haven't been playing it for the last few shows, have they, or for this Take Cover tour? But who knows? I don't know if it would suit a stadium crowd, because the greatest hits vibe that's what it's all about, and everyone's singing along. And when they start playing a song that no one knows, then it does kill the mood a little bit. So who knows if they'll just save it for the smaller shows going forward, which I expect.
Guys, if you're listening, the Hollywood Bowl show, A320 with an official live recording, please, with the full orchestra. That's what we want.
Yes, please. They should release that whole show as a live album. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, brilliant note to finish on, Dan. Great to chat to you.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Dan.
A huge thanks to Dan there for a very thorough, insightful and passionate deep dive too into A320, which is the first track on our Foo Fighters A to Z. I hope you've enjoyed the new feature, going all the way from A320 down to your favourite toy, alphabetically. So I think A Matter of Time from the Wasting Light album will be the next one. If there's a particular track you fancy coming on to really get stuck into and talk about, then please do get in touch, particularly these early A1s that we've got coming up. And we'll press record, have a good old chat, and get it done.
Let's sing one more. It's been such a beautiful fucking night. You guys have been singing along so much. I think we should sing one more together. Now we're good.
So we'll jump back now to the Take Cover Tour European leg, which, as I mentioned, is winding down a bit now. There's just a couple of shows to go. And we've had 3 performances since the last episode. The band have been in Berlin, Vienna and Milan. And as you know, we like to have people in the field at just about every show. I've got quite a few messages to play for you this week with a little recap of each performance. So we'll start with Berlin, the Olympiastadion, which was last Wednesday, the 1st of July. And as you're about to hear, it turned into quite an eventful night for those who were there. So first of all, we've got Jesper, and then we've got Lesley O'Mara, who, like plenty of other people, took the opportunity to turn this one into a Foocation.
Hello. It's Jesper from Amsterdam. I've just gotten home from Berlin, which was my final stop on what I called Foocation, where I went and watched the Foo Fighters perform 4 times. And Berlin was the final stop of the tour for me. And it was an amazing show. We were very lucky and unlucky at the same time, because we made it to the barrier for the supporting acts. And as soon as they started rebuilding the stage for the Foo Fighters to come on, a thunderstorm came in. So they made everyone in the ground, on the pitch side of the stadium, move into the stands, which ultimately cost us our barrier spot, because as soon as people were allowed to go back in, it was just carnage. Everyone ran. It was crazy. But hey, at least I still got to see them perform, which was my biggest concern when we were told to go back into the stands, that they would just cancel the entire concert. But luckily they didn't, and we still got 3 hours of an amazing show. For me, the highlight of the show was the first 3 to 4 songs, where it was still raining pretty hard, and it's just overwhelming and happy that they still managed to get out. And at that point, I still didn't know if they were going to play an entire show, or if it was just going to be for as long as they could until the next thunderstorm came in. But yeah, overall it was an amazing trip, and I had so much fun in Berlin, and I'm already excited to maybe see them again next year. Oh, and another thing I really do want to add is it was my first show where I went on my own. And at first I was really nervous beforehand, but as soon as I got there and met up with a couple of really nice people, we had such a great time. And I just really want to maybe advise people who are scared of going alone, just go. Buy the ticket, just go. You're going to meet loads of fun people. You're going to have an amazing time. Even if you go out there on your own, you're a little bit nervous. It's such a welcoming, nice place to be, a Foo Fighters concert. So just do it. Go have fun.
Hello, my name's Lesley. I'm just back from seeing Foo Fighters in Berlin at the Olympic Stadium as part of the Take Cover tour. It was incredible, like they always are. getting in was a little bit of a mixed bag. We queued from about 10 in the morning, but all the turnstiles there open at the same time, so it's a bit of a free for all once you get in. And I had a front standing ticket, so you end up going through about 3 or 4 different scanning points before you eventually get to where you want to be. But got a great spot, so very happy with that. We had a couple of really energetic and entertaining support acts in Fat Dog and Idols. Both were brilliant. Couldn't kind of not watch them. They were just really, really amusing, really entertaining, really got the crowd going. Haven't seen kind of guitarists leap off the stage and start mosh pits from the support act point of view before, so that was a bit of a treat. After that, we had a bit of drama where we were all asked to leave the floor because there was a thunderstorm expected within about 20 minutes. So we all kind of took to the stands. But the atmosphere was fairly upbeat. There were Mexican waves and such like going on and some clapping and things like that. And then suddenly we were all back on the floor again. And I know a lot of people got back to their original rail spots. I sadly did not. So I was in the throng instead, but it was still just a fantastic evening. The atmosphere in the crowd was really good. I don't know if that was enhanced by the fact we were getting rained on. No thunder and lightning, thank goodness. But yeah, we were dancing away in the rain. Dave came out full of energy and just with this attitude of Mother Nature's not going to stop us. We are here until we are dragged from this stage and we're going to give you a great night. And that's what they proceeded to do. So we had them rattle through the big hits as they've been doing on this tour. They added in Sky as a Neighbourhood, which was I love hearing that live, so that was great. On the acoustic stage, we got Window from the new album. I think, don't quote me on it necessarily, I think that was the only track we got from the new album this time. So there are definitely a few more I'd love to hear live, but maybe they're saving that for next year. Who knows? They went straight into the encore at the end rather than leaving the stage. Generally, I suppose, because they were about half hour late taking to the stage, so they were trying to make up for lost time. So we got a 2-track encore in The Teacher, which I know is divided opinion a little bit online this tour, where some people love it and some people aren't so keen. I personally love it. I love hearing it. It felt really powerful in Berlin. It felt really, I don't know, just felt even more energized. I'd seen it in Paris and Liverpool, but this time just, especially the ending. I don't know if they've kind of rearranged it slightly. Dave's family were at the side of the stage and he made a point of saying that this one was for them. And actually, it's the first time I've noticed him kind of going over to them and showing off a little bit in front of them a bit more this time. So that was quite cool to see. And then, finished with Everlong. Lots of fireworks, lots of hugging and crying and just enjoying it in the crowd. It was just a really nice moment. Ilan was phenomenal. I love seeing him take to the guitar. I love seeing his dynamic with the rest of the band. He's just, in my opinion, just such a great fit. So I'm just really happy to see them kind of embracing him and kind of giving him a bit of spotlight on this tour. But yeah, everyone was on form. It was another great night.
Great stuff. And I love that piece of advice from Jesper about travelling to a show on your own. You're never alone at a Foo Fighters concert. So from the Olympiastadion in Berlin, a couple of days later, the band were in Vienna, Austria, to play the Ernst-Happel-Stadion. And we've got 2 regulars who were over there for that one. We've got Colin Cassell, who you may have heard on the podcast a few times previously, and then our good friend Kim Hearn, who has been to many Foo Fighters shows and is usually in the front row. But as you're about to hear, something very, very special happened at the end of this one to Kim and her husband, Steve.
Oh, yeah. Hi, mate. It's Cole here, just leaving you a message as we discussed about Vienna. So, got back Saturday morning early after travelling in on Thursday night. Great show. Great show. Been there to that stadium before, obviously, for Maiden last year. It's a great setup there. lots of bars outside. Picked up some early merch on the Thursday. Managed to get the event shirt and amazing poster, which the merch person was really proudly telling us reflected Austrian heritage. So yeah, she was well happy with that. Yeah, and a great image. I love the sort of Krampusy style stuff. Very metal poster. But yeah, I think that's the best one I've seen for this tour so far. So yeah, day of the gig, had a few beers in central Vienna, which was good. We had front standing tickets already bought, so I thought we didn't really have to sort of rush down to the stadium and get in. So yeah, we sort of pitched up there maybe an hour and a half after doors opened. It was interesting because we went in, got our wristband, obviously went down to the front standing section, which was sort of barriered off as you'd expect. And then there was a very, very front standing section, which was also barriered off. And we were like, well, we must go in there then. That's literally the front standing. So we went to go into this section and was stopped by security and told, no, this is a special front standing area. First come, first served on the day. And to go around the other side of the stage to see if we could get a wristband for it. So I went round there. Unfortunately, they'd sold out the wristbands by the time we got there. So yeah, it's a bit unexpected really to have sort of bonus front standing area. Yeah, if we'd have known, we probably would have got there for doors and looked to get in there. But as it was, the front standing that we'd paid for, still a great view. Probably the circle was about the same size as we got at the London Stadium last few times. So yeah, stood towards the back of that for the gig. I've got to say, great crowd, great view. Sort of usual set list you'd expect, open with All My Life. One thing I would say is that, the crowd there really actually respectful and sort of listen to the music. I don't think loads of people were kind of hugely knowledgeable about the Foo Fighters music around us per se. A few songs were a bit flat, like Rope. People didn't seem to know. The one song that really got everyone on their feet was Learn to Fly, of all things. So yeah, everyone was kind of in the seats, even stood up for that one, which is about 5 or 6 songs into the set. So yeah, they did the usual thing, come out to that middle stage, did the acoustic section, a few songs there, finished up. Before they finished, they did Big Me, and Dave told a story there about how famous that video was and how he looked like Alanis Morissette in that video, which a few of us laughed at. May have been lost in translation for others in the crowd, but yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, apart from that, not much chat or banter really from Dave throughout. He did say it was beautiful night, best night of the tour. It was about 24 and nice breeze. So yeah, beautiful conditions to be stood outside. Beautiful city, and he loved visiting the catacombs. So obviously he'd been in the main cathedral that day and underneath to look at those. So, but yeah, played his last one on the acoustic stage, Under You. Got to say, probably the most emotional version I'd seen him do. Eyes were kind of closed throughout, and his voice did crack and break a few times. And what I really liked was actually loads of people put the lights on the phone during that song and kind of stood there and listened to it. If you go to gigs over here and the band come out and play these kind of acoustic numbers, I remember last year they did Under You, or whenever it was, year before, at the London Stadium, you get like the usual dickheads who are having conversations loudly through it and stuff, and not actually there watching what's going on and listening. So, yeah, everyone really respectful. Listened to that. Really beautiful moment, actually. Yeah, and it quite raw and emotional. So, yeah, that was great. Aurora, again, massive respect for that. Dedicated to Taylor, as usual. Loads of lights on in the crowd too. But yeah, it was kind of a gig of two halves. These outdoor gigs are always a bit weird in my experience because they come on in daylight and it seems like you're kind of watching them on the TV. But yeah, something about it when the sun goes down, it kind of changes the mood almost. It's almost like a gig of two halves, and the sun went down and they kicked into La-Di-Da and then Run straight after the acoustic break. And yeah, that was really, like suddenly really rocking in the crowd. Run went down really well. Loads of arm waving front to back for that one, for the intro. But yeah, kind of they rounded off the usual encore, the teacher. A great song, but I've got to say, I don't really think it works that well. First song of an encore. A lot of people like looking at each other like, what's this? I understand why Dave wants to play it. Obviously, pay tribute to his mum, but it might not be the best for the start of the encore. And finished with Everlong, which didn't have fireworks. Apparently, there's restrictions on fireworks in Vienna after a certain time. So it didn't have the fireworks around the top, but rounded the show off in that usual kind of celebratory fashion. So, great show. As I say, great weather, great city. I recommend anyone going there to check out Vienna for a gig. Always a pleasure to see the boys. Great to catch up with my mate who lives there and a few of my good friends I made through following the band over the years too. So, top weekend. Great to see him again. Can't wait to see hopefully on the tour next year when they'll actually play maybe a few more of the new songs, because there was only one on the set for Vienna. So, love to hear more of the new album live. So, please, if Dave or anyone does listen, back the new album and, come out and play some more of it, please. We want to hear that too.
Hi, it's Kim here with my report on the gig in Vienna. So, Vienna, yes, you meant everything to me in the end. Beautiful city, lots to see. Food was fantastic. Extremely bad for the waistline, as there's just delicious cakes everywhere. I think I've lived on cake for about the last 5 days. The day of the gig was great weather-wise, not like Liverpool. It was warm, but not too hot, and we had some shade, and we got there about 8:30 to 2 people in the queue, and we didn't really get busy until probably about 2 o'clock, which is kind of unheard of. But I understand that in some European countries, they're pretty laid back about queuing and everything. So that was good. We were held behind tape until the last minute, which did mean the queue got a little bit messy. So it was a bit of a storm, not much, but down to security, do tickets and everything. I got held up because my ticket, even though it was a paper ticket, wouldn't scan. Anyway, we got in and we secured a spot down by the runway. Funny, none of us who queued super early got the corner spot, but as it turns out, our position really worked in our favour in the end. What was unusual when we got in was we saw there was, the front pit looks a bit small. And it turns out there was actually a golden circle, I think, for the first 2,000 people. And then anybody else obviously went in the rear of that. And then there was a back section as well. So that was nice. Nobody knew about it until we got in. So I guess maybe they don't say anything so that people don't queue too early. But it was nice. Show was great as always. Like, it's not going to not be, is it? I think the set list was pretty much the same as Berlin. We only had Window from the new album, which was part of the acoustic section. We had the addition of Run in there, which was nice to hear. It's always good to hear that one. Gets the energy back up. Band intros were great, funny as always. I'm really liking that Wallflower song, so I need to go and listen to some more of them. Dave was on fire. He seemed to have a lot more energy, maybe because it was a bit cooler. He was chucking the guitars around, especially during the teacher, and that was an interesting one for me. It's probably my favourite Foo song because the lyrics mean a lot to me because of my mum's passing. I really resonate with them, but for some reason that night I got a little bit emotional over it. So I was feeling a bit, and then obviously they did Exhausted and then into Everlong. And that's when something very special happened. So as always, the guitar's up, he puts the guitar down, turns around, walks a few paces, and then is doing a cheer and a wave and thank yous. And then, I don't know, it was only a few seconds, but it felt like forever. He suddenly looked down at us and then was kind of staring, and then you could see the penny drop. It was like, ah, and called us his favourite term of endearment, and gave us a wave and that, and a thank you and a kiss, blew a kiss, and and it just totally took us by surprise. But it was just so lovely, and luckily the lady behind us caught it all on video, so. This is why you should be allowed to have phones at concerts, so we have these memories. And it was just like blown away. And then Andy caught a great photo from the corner of the stage, side on, so it's nice to have that from two angles. So yeah, that really, really not only made our trip, it's made our year so far. So that was really lovely. As I say, just because it was so unexpected. So that, we left our Euro tour on a real high. Great trip. I'd also like to just give a shout out to the guys at Open Doors. If you remember, they were the band who did the custom bass with orange vinyl Medicine at Midnight as a pick guard, and we're trying to get the band to sign it. Sadly, that didn't happen, but they invited us over to the studio for a beer and played us some songs. Really, really great. Really liked them instantly. So I did a few photos for them as well. And the cake was brilliant, and Foos missed out on the cake. So they've got lots of things planned. They're kind of getting the band ramped up again. Obviously, life gets in the way with kids and jobs and that, but they've got a little bit more spare time now, so they're really ramping up the band again. So give them a follow on Insta and you'll get to see some live streams.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Couple of things worth pointing out there. Cole forgot to mention that was his 65th Foo Fighters show, so a bit of a milestone number for him. And then in terms of Kim and Steve being recognised by Dave, you can probably find the clip on social media. It's absolutely fantastic. His facial expression and his reaction, beautiful stuff. So glad that somebody was able to capture the moment for them. And the last one to cover off is the iDays Festival in Milan, Italy. Festival set, as we know, usually a bit shorter, but no less entertaining for the people that were there. We've got a first-time contributor and a new listener, Denise Carulli, who was there, and she sent us this message sharing her experience.
So I finally got to see the Foo Fighters live in Milan, and it was everything I had been waiting for. After so many years, it was an incredible and emotional experience to finally see them on stage. The setlist was amazing. Dave Grohl was as incredible as ever, and every single member of the band gave an outstanding performance. I especially love Ilan Rubin, the new drummer. I really hope he stays with the band because, in my opinion, he is exactly the right fit. He brings his own style while still capturing the spirit that makes Foo Fighters such a powerful live band. One of the things that really stood out was Dave's connection with the audience. For example, during No Son of Mine, he suddenly stopped the show because he noticed that a girl in the crowd needed medical attention. He waited until he knew she was okay before continuing. And it was a reminder that no matter how big the show is, it genuinely cares about people in front of him. And then Dave also spoke a little bit Italian during the night, which the crowd absolutely loved. And since he spent time in Italy with Scream when he was younger, and he still remembers some of the language, and hearing him interact with the audience in Italian made the concert feel even more personal. One of the most emotional moments of the night was Aurora, which Dave dedicated to Taylor Hawkins, and the entire arena seems to share the same feeling in that moment. It was a beautiful tribute, and you could really feel how much Taylor is still part of every Foo Fighters show. Compared to Vienna show, because I was in Vienna too, there were a few songs that didn't make the Milan set list, like Under You, The Teacher, and Window. Even so, the performance was absolutely incredible, was from beginning to end. And another fun moment was singing Mentos Man in the crowd. They recognized him, and once again, and it was one of those classic Foo Fighters moments. And so I can't hide how happy I am. I'd been waiting for this concert for years, and getting to experience it from the front rows was it even more special. If I had to pick just two unforgettable moments, they would definitively be Marigold and that the moment Dave sat behind the drums. Seeing Dave play the drums always give me chills, and it was honestly one of the most emotional moments of my life. And now I just hope that one day another dreams come true, meeting Dave Grohl in person, so I can thank him for everything his music has meant to me.
So that brings us up to speed with the latest stops on the Take Cover European tour. Just Madrid and Lisbon to go now. So if you're heading to those shows and you want to send us a little review afterwards, do send it over, get in touch, and we will absolutely play it on next week's episode. So that's it for this week. Quite a long one, so thanks for sticking with it. Again, hope you enjoyed that new feature. Always looking for people to contribute to the A to Z. So you know where to get in touch. foosfilespod@gmail.com, @foosfilespod on Instagram too. And thanks for listening. Have a great week. Take care. And I'll see you next time.